Hello, Paint Cutter fans. I'm Brian Nicholson with manager Darien for episode 2 of the Coach's Show. Coach, you have an impressive 7-2 record at home. What is it about playing here at Bob Barker Field that electrifies your players and winning ball games?
Well, there's a couple things. First, the players are in a familiar environment. They get to stay in their own beds. And, here of late, I know we've had LSU play in and stuff like that, but the crowds have been pretty good and they're pretty loud. And the kids, enjoy the feedback they get from the crowds. And, just a mere fact that they're home hot.
Yeah, for sure. And you have 5 hitters in the top 20 in the TCL batting average and the leading RBI guy in Peyton Woods. What's been the mindset offensively, and how proud of you of the balance all around and that brings every night?
Well, we stress moving runners and grinding out at bats. And all those guys, Peyton Woods, Dylan Diddick, Isaiah, even though he's struggling a little bit right now, if you start looking at their at-bats, their 5, 6, 7 pitch at-bats, and they grind it out so they can find a good pitch to hit. And, we're just playing moving runners around the bases. And that's important because you're not always going to get the double or, the home run or whatever you want to call it. And all those guys they're perfectly fine taking a walk. They're perfectly fine bunting. So, it's more of a team thing at the plate than individuals.
Yeah, and I know one of your preseason goals were to control the running game, and that is what you've been doing very effectively so far this season.
Yeah. We had a hiccup other night in Lake Charles, but other than that, we're doing a good job of controlling the running games. And it's kind of different because in college they have the pitch comms and all that stuff. And, you got coaches in the dugout saying, hey, pick here, pick there. But here they got to do it on their own. And we're starting to get across the fact that we got to keep guys off second and third when they're not supposed to be there.
Yes, sir. And flipping to the defensive side, you have the second best ERA in the TCO. What stood out about your pitching staff's execution so far this year?
Oh, well, they just getting it done. We may walk a couple of people's here and there, which during a game I get infuriated by the useless walks. But we've been able to get the outs when we need it. The last couple of nights, Troy Morales came in twice with the bases loaded, gotten ground balls and minimized the damage. So, kind of going forward, we've been preaching minimize the damage, give the offense time to catch up and do the thing.
Yeah, and the last question is, with the first half winding down and the potential playoff hosting spot is brewing around against the Baton Rouge Rougarou, what's been the biggest area you've been looking to sharpen as you head into the final 6 weeks of the season?
For me, it's the lower part of the lineup. We've got to push runners like we are in the top of the lineup, and we need to get longevity in our starters. They need to get into the 5th inning, which means instead of trying to punch a guy out, they need to go ahead and hit a bat, get a guy out in 4 pitches or less, and let our starters go into the 5th. We get into the 6th maybe, and then we can start piecing together the end of the ball game.
Yes, and thank you so much, Coach, for joining me today. And first pitch is tonight against the Victoria Generals at 7 o'clock.
Go Cutters.